You start with something pure, something exciting. Then come the mistakes, the compromises.
You never know. You hope for the best, then make do with what you get. You got a great team.
Nothing lasts forever.
Trouble, Ms. Romanoff. No matter who wins or loses, trouble still comes round.
We've just finished phase 2. We don't look and say, this is the entirety of what phase 2 will be about. Because in a way, that locks you in, I believe, to be too rigid. And suddenly, instead of finding what's the best Tony Stark story, what's the best Thor story, what's the best Guardian story, all you're doing is thinking about how it all interconnects. And that really is secondary to us, to telling a great individual movie.
It was a big risk, but a huge payoff to individually build these characters up and then bring them all together. They're from different times, they're from different worlds, and that's what makes them so special.
The journey of Iron Man, and frankly the journey of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, started with the journey of Tony Stark.
All right, fellas, it's go time.
And the exciting thing about Iron Man 3 is, yes, it's the culmination from Iron Man 1 and 2, but it's also a follow-up to the Avengers. Avengers, he's faced with something world-changing. A portal to another world opened above his head. This is a very scientifically minded guy who thought he's at the cutting edge of science, and suddenly learned in those brief moments at the end of Avengers that there's an infinite amount that he doesn't know. And so when we meet him at the beginning of Iron Man 3, he's using the suit as a shell.
There's this incredible hubris and ego that occurs, and then I think for any and all of us, there's always some activating event that cuts you down to size. And the nice thing about Tony Stark is that he falls so far from where he was, but he needed to.
We take Tony Stark and we sort of break him down and put him through the ringer.
One more time, at minimum.
He's always a work in progress. He's always building new suits. He sees it as this thing that can absorb everything that makes him great and reflect all this through this one idea. So when this movie starts, we actually find out that they're not only 9 suits. Since we last checked in with Tony, he's built dozens more.
Mark 42, autonomous prehensile propulsion suit test with interdependent components calibrated to Mach 0.2.
The funny thing is Mark 1 was really clunky, but it was a ball. And then it's just been a bunch of guys and gals standing around figuring how to make it survivable, how to utilize the resources of other departments. So for me, it's gotten easier and easier. It's gotten to the point where I can be wearing a pretty significant amount of gear and not be uncomfortable at all.
This is Robert's suit. It appears hard, but everything's very soft and flexible. We actually did in the first movie a stunt suit, which was composed out of this material, out of a quick necessity. So this is sort of a distant relative of that original suit.
Tony's personal journey and the journey of his technology are, I think, second to none. And it's just a matter of a lot of talented people driving themselves crazy, executing it.
Each of us have our own specific story, and for Thor, it really is picking up from Thor 1 in a lot of ways. Now Thor is stepping into the role of king and proving that he deserves to be there.
You overestimate the power of these creatures.
I value our people's lives.
His senses were now awakening, and he's having a greater understanding of the world and its problems.
He is the linchpin between Earth and everything else. He was our guide into the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe. He is aware of cosmic histories and cosmic legends and cosmic mythologies that nobody on Earth is aware of.
Chris's development in this film is fascinating for that, because it's darker and older.
To be a young man who carries the weight of godliness, it's a challenging thing to do. Chris, besides being sort of physically perfect, has a voice that carries such weight that you actually can believe that this young man has the stature of something that's more than human.
So much of what makes Hemsworth Thor is that he really embodies Thor. And so when we say we want to start shooting on this day, he goes through an intense regimen.
He's constantly working out, so we're faced with the challenge of his muscle tone changing on a daily basis. We'll end up with about 25 sets of armor and 30 plus capes.
It was all about making it look more realistic, so it looks like someone has, been through thousands of years of war and battle.
With all that power, I thought you'd hit harder.
His conflicts and emotions are the same as ours.
That's what elevates these films. These characters are striving for unity and harmony and love and peace but that there are so many things in the way.
At Marvel, we're always just as interested, if not more so, in the fellow inside the costume.
You gotta reveal a little more of who these characters are and show us a little more under the skin so that we can get to continue to love them.
So Steve Rogers certainly was our focus for this film. The Avengers takes place over a tight period, so he doesn't have a lot of time to sort of contemplate his new position in this new world. And we wanted to explore that.
It's not really about catching him up on technology. The more interesting component for us was psychologically. How do you take somebody from the greatest generation and drop them into this generation? And where would there be conflict?
This isn't freedom. This is fear.
I always interpret Cap as having a certain sense of loneliness, given the fact that everyone knows who he is. He is famous. And I think as a result, it makes him a little suspicious of people's motives when they approach him.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get up?
I think Chris brought in really nice layers of pathos as the character tries to find his place without losing any of the grit.
Chris Evans is embracing this part in such a great way that we get to see those other sides of Steve. And now that he's working for S.H.I.E.L.D., he's got a different costume. In the first half of this film, he's wearing what we call the stealth outfit, which is still unmistakably a Captain America outfit with the star right in the center, but the colors are gone. And it's fun to see him, over the course of the movie, shed that, both sort of metaphorically and literally, and then embrace what he thought maybe he'd lost from his past.
When you have a hero that's as strong as Cap is, morally strong as Cap is, you have to really challenge somebody like that, and you have to throw at them something as complex as the Winter Soldier.
Sebastian Stan playing a completely different part than he played in The First Avenger, inspired directly from Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier comic run. And we talked about it briefly when we were casting Sebastian on the first film for Bucky, that maybe if things work out, if it all goes well, you could be doing this incarnation.
There are going to be future movies, and this character's got to go somewhere, and this character's going to go on a journey. As fans and filmmakers, where do we want to see him go? So we're very sensitive to that fact of setting up that there's a complex story to be told here.
You don't have to come with me.
I know. When do we start? We really wanted Captain America to be responsible for altering the cinematic universe so that when we meet all of our characters at the beginning of Avengers 2, things are very different than when we left the characters at the end of Avengers 1.
The rug has been pulled out from under us, and I think when you find us at the end of this film, we are much older and wiser.
You're not going to put me in a prison. You're not going to put any of us in a prison. You know why?
Do enlighten us.
Because you need us.
We took a lot of what we learned from Avengers to Guardians, and having these 5 misfits be a team so that you feel that the Guardians of the Galaxy is a unit.
I would say that Guardians of the Galaxy is the riskiest movie that we've done since Iron Man 1, but in a lot of ways, that makes it the most exciting movie we've done since Iron Man 1.
I'm running with a person's fake leg, which I've been told by Rocket is essential to our escape.
What was so exciting about Guardians was being able to create something that isn't yet there.
I asked James which Guardians of the Galaxy I should be reading. He told me not to read them. There are several incarnations of Peter Quill and of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and his thing was, we're making a new incarnation of this. But part of it is scary as an actor because you want to do as much research as you can, and you want to draw from as many sources as you can. But I feel like sometimes the magic can be lost if you overthink things, you know? And so there's a sense of vulnerability to the character that is found best in him just being real.
It goes to show that if you just think about telling a good story the way that you would want to see it, people will come.
I really did not set out to just tell this one story. From the beginning, I wanted to create a universe. And that was something that excited me about creating these characters in the first place. And to not be, frankly, tied to the superhero concept. Because at the heart of this story is not a superhero story. We aren't a superhero story at all. We're a space epic.
Marvel is known for connecting movies together, but they're also known for being very secretive about what their future plans are. Thanos is involved in the Guardians and the Avengers as well. I'm praying as a fan and as an actor that they do connect, because I want to be in the Avengers.
As we started going into Age of Ultron, the fun was now we get to put Captain America and Thor and Iron Man and Hulk and Hawkeye and Black Widow and Fury all together again.
One of the things that intrigued Joss about making Avengers 2 was the idea of this revolving and evolving roster.
I wanted not just a new perspective, but a new visual language. And Wanda, her power is at that level. Nobody's ever been at that level before.
Wanda has telekinetic capabilities as well as energy powers, and you can go anywhere with that.
All of the stories that are already in the comic books are so interesting, and the journey that she goes on and how she develops her skills, how much power she has without realizing it. She's like one of the most powerful Avengers.
One of the things in the comics is this relationship between Vision and Scarlet Witch.
It was impossible for me not to play up this connection.
They really take care of each other, and there are a couple moments in the movie that are really tender. I think it'll be fun to watch that relationship evolve.
What is great about the Avengers is the flaws that a superhero carries. Iron Man's arrogance or whatever, and I'm really intrigued to find what that will be for the Vision. I was born yesterday.
There's a lot of possibilities and opportunities for growth in the relationships, because I feel like that's the most important part of this whole universe, is the relationships between each other.
Things change in Age of Ultron, team members change, Thor is gone back up to the cosmic side of our universe to figure out what the heck's going on. Hulk, he's missing, he's run away, and the team has changed. So we see the Avengers assembling as a new team.
My favorite part about Avengers Age of Ultron is what's brought into potential at the end.
Avengers!
What's fun about Ant-Man within the Marvel Cinematic Universe is we're introducing characters who were key to the creation of the Avengers in the comics in the early 60s. So that's helping us to round out and continue to grow the Avengers mythology, of which Ant-Man is a very, very important part of. At the same time, it's a movie that is very different than anything we've ever made before. And like Guardians of the Galaxy before us, it really feels like continuing to surprise audiences with how vast the Marvel Universe can be.
One of the things that makes Ant-Man unique is the idea that we've got an older hero who's been around for a while. Having Michael Douglas come in as the elder statesman, one of the original superheroes, feels authentic. And he walks through these giant metal doors, and who's on the other side? Howard Stark, Peggy Carter, the pillars of the MCU as we've come to know it.
I let you turn me into your errand boy, and I try to steal my research.
It's a direction we've never gone in before, so it was really cool to play with. And then when we meet Scott Lang, he's the other side of it.
Scott Lang is a hero who doesn't have any superpowers at all. It's all about the suit.
When I put it on the first time, I stood differently. And I couldn't get over the fact that I was in the Ant-Man suit.
I think it's great. I think we have.
I know before we ever started shooting this thing, I tell people, what are you working on? I was like, Ant-Man. Ant-Man? Because not many people know the character. They'd say, what are your powers? I said, well, I can shrink. I'd say, okay. But I can also talk to ants.
Well, you're not so crazy.
I thought, who the hell is Ant-Man? Once I got educated, I was humbled. They started showing me previs material of the ants and Ant-Man in action and all of the superhero stuff. And once I saw it with my own eyes, I suddenly realized, this is gonna be so cool.
We got a lot of picture to shoot.
In the comic realm, Ant-Man and Wasp, they were a partnership, and Wasp was a very important character, so we definitely wanted to have that be a part of the movie and set up that it may become a much larger part of the MCU.
It's about damn time.
We realized Ant-Man was really the end of Phase 2, introducing a key part of the cinematic universe's history with Pym and S.H.I.E.L.D., and that it really was showcasing that the stories that take place in our cinematic universe can be huge and sprawling, with robots lifting countries out of the sky and dropping them to annihilate all life on Earth, and they can be as tiny as a father drifting off into the quantum realm and becoming microscopic, only for the will of wanting to see his daughter again. Is he able to get himself out of it? And I thought that was a nice reminder for audiences that you may think you figured out a formula, or you may think you figured out exactly what our films are, but surprise. And Civil War, as we were developing Captain America 3, and that became the story that we were going to tell, it became very, very clear that that's the movie to kick off all of Phase 3.
In Captain America Civil War, we're looking at the repercussions of all of the Marvel movies up to this point.
Civil War is about the government saying, hold on a second, Avengers, just because you can be first responders across the globe doesn't mean you should be. All superheroes should be registered. There should no longer be vigilantes.
Cap believes there's one course of action they should take, and Tony believes there's another.
There's this rift, and we put their relationship in the balance as well as the Avengers.
We wanted to have a third party who wasn't even necessarily involved in that argument, and we kept talking about Black Panther.
He's a monarch, and at the same time, he's the superhero, but there's a certain mystery about the character.
Fun thing about Civil War is it's almost as many players as we've ever had in our films showing up together, and particularly the ones we've met in Age of Ultron. So Wanda Maximoff, for instance, who we saw struggle with her abilities in Ultron, we see exactly how powerful she is.
She's more understanding of her skills, and she has like quite a great emotional journey in this one.
And then seeing Ant-Man, another reason we wanted Ant-Man to close out Phase 2, so that he could be introduced to the universe, so that he could be called upon in the events of Civil War.
This is awesome. It's Captain America.
It's not villain versus hero, it's friends, it's family.
Civil War is the right movie and the right moment for where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is and for where these characters are. It's going to challenge the way that you think about Tony Stark. It's going to challenge the way that you think about Steve Rogers. And when you come out of that film, nothing will be the same.
Continuing through Phase 3, we introduced Doctor Strange. You need a spectacular actor to portray this character, and the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch has agreed to do this role is huge for us.
Benedict, he's got an incredibly complicated emotional structure going on. There's a quality about him that just isn't like anyone else.
One of the things that's important to us in telling a magical story is keeping it grounded, but still leaving enough room to have really cool and unique visual ideas to explore.
What you can expect from this Doctor Strange movie is a mind trip action film.
How do you put that on a screen within this cinematic universe? That is, one of the primary goals of that movie. As we are heading into development and pre-production and production on all the upcoming Phase 3 films, right now in the Marvel Studios offices, James Gunn's delivered his second draft of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We were just in an art review, seeing the amazing character designs coming out of that. How are the existing characters evolving? How are their costumes changing? And then the new characters. Can't wait for audiences to see how these characters evolve, and in particular Peter Quill, what he learns about his past, where that takes him in the future. And again, returning to the fun of that world and continuing to surprise people with where those characters go, where that universe goes, and how many new songs are on his new mixtape. When we start developing a new phase, it's fun to take the characters that exist to new places, to pair them up in new and unique ways. And then it's equally exciting to bring in the new players, to bring in Doctor Strange, to bring in Black Panther, to continue to add to the pantheon of heroes, and to continue to bring these amazing, amazing comic book characters to life.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be. But there is grace in their failings.
They're doomed.
Yes. But a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts.